Yeah, I've heard that you've fixed the UFC's wrestling problem. I heard that you've solved it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, UFC's on the decline. Too many boring ass wrestlers taking over the divisions. So UFC basically called me. They said, "Hey, like, can you help us out? Can you help Jack Della beat Bilal Muhammad?" And we just fixed his wrestling overnight. So now we got exciting strikers taking the belts.
What's the strategy? How do you beat wrestling?
I mean, first of all, you're not going to have the most intelligent human being in the sport of wrestling like some of us articulate, high social skills people in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? It's basically jocks versus autistic people. We're going to win the war. You know what I mean? And really, it's just they have the takedown, they have the initiation, but they have no follow-up. They're confused. It's like a dog chasing a car. They don't know what to do once they get it. In wrestling, they get the pin. It's over. The referee saves them. They stand back up. That's where jiu-jitsu takes over. So it's a huge hole in their game. We'll forget about American folk style wrestling completely, and we'll just talk about the broader type of wrestling. But yeah, for me, it's not a big problem. Get taken down. That's what we take over.
Sit down. So is sitting down a solution?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the joke of the sport. Imagine if you spent your whole life dedicated to an art where the goal was to take the other person down, but you never spent any time, thought, or effort into thinking what you'd do if the fight continued on the ground. That's the most funny, humiliating thing to me about the sport of wrestling.
So how do you think a fight with Gable Stevenson is going to go? Like, just roll the clock forward for me.
Roll the clock forward. Again, handicapping myself, I've decided to not train for this match, just like I didn't train for the Gabby Garcia match. Show the same level of respect for both Goliath opponents there. And really, I'm just going to come out, sit down. He's going to come forward. Well, first of all, he's going to just be like, if he could read, he'd be angry. You know what I mean? But he's a wrestler. So you're going to see that feat. He's going to be trying to read it, a bit confused, maybe a bit aroused, comes forward and gets leg locked straight away. That's basically my vision. And I'll try and show some mercy here. You know, like we've done a lot of damage this year to wrestling, Americans in general as well. So maybe we let him out of a few, or we'll definitely take him out.
But he's 265 pounds. How heavy does he need to be before it becomes hard for you to do as a wrestler?
Well, that's part of the training protocol. You know, we're finding heavier and heavier dating partners to feel the experience of being under such a heavy creature. And I know you've pointed me in the right direction to some bars in Austin where we'd find those.
And Gable is just the next iteration of this.
But yeah, basically he's like a giant athletic woman that can do handstand backflips. He can do some athletic maneuvers. So unless he in the midst of trying to read for the first time falls over and lands
all right, I
on
see.
me.
So your feet tattoos are an attempt to try and confuse people.
To confuse him, yeah.
Right. Not only, so it insults the people that can read and confuses the ones that can't.
Yeah, little known fact, a lot of wrestlers are dyslexic.
Okay. Does that change the way that they wrestle?
I don't know, but the feet will definitely throw a spanner in the works for him, I think.
What was the fallout from ADCC around, because presumably that happens every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
So that's not going to be a competition this time around. So it'll be easier to get more teams, more people, more spectators, etc. Yeah.
So like last year we went head to head. We were mildly offended by petty things the owners said. So we decided to host an event the same day on someone else's, with someone else's money, which is always the best tactic, as you know, at Newtonic. But really the fallout was, I think we decisively won, but this is a good opportunity actually. ADCC is on Flow Grappling. And I have just signed, I would say, and it's not saying much, the most lucrative contract in grappling history to now join forces and essentially take over Flow Grappling. So it's kind of a corporate takeover. So Flow Grappling hosted ADCC. They had the subscribers. I went on a malicious onslaught of an attack against ADCC, and as a result, Flow Grappling as well. We tore them down to a point of vulnerability that now the only person they could call for help was me, essentially a corporate takeover. And now they've basically given me the reins to save grappling. So
what have they done? What's the deal?
I can't talk too much about it. Flow Grappling usually is it's a streaming platform to host events and original content. CJI will remain free on YouTube. I mean, I'm basically going to run the operation now. We're going to fix the damage we did. We're going to try and get the fan base back.
Okay, you've caused the problem and now you're selling them the cure.
Exactly. Sounds like my dating life as well, really. But
that's the gaslighting coming back in.
The gaslighting come back. Yeah, no, but we're working together with Flow now, you know, because there are big enterprises trying to enter the sport of grappling, and they're trying to lock athletes down to exclusive contracts. Again, like they're going to try to monopolize the sport of grappling. And grapplers, where there's barely $3 to throw together as it is, if this big organization were to monopolize the sport of grappling, the athletes themselves would lose the leverage for negotiations and getting their true value from the different events out there. Like obviously we've got one championship as well. The big three would be one championship, Flow Grappling, and UFC Fight Pass, right? So if one of these were to take over completely and create a monopoly, then they would not have any incentive to pay the athletes more.
You're able to negotiate. Where else are you going to go?
Yeah, or even put more effort into the spectacle of grappling. Like my thoughts are, if fake grappling is one of the most entertaining things in the world, WWE, why can real grappling not be that? And I believe that's the root of professional wrestling, was they used to actually have real matches, but it was too boring for the fans to watch. So they decided to have real matches behind the scenes. And then the winner of that would determine the winner of the professional show.
No way.
Yeah, and so we're trying to steal, I want to steal the theatrics. Obviously, Vince McMahon, personal hero of mine, I'm really trying to steal what he did for professional wrestling minus his personal life and bring that to the sport of jiu-jitsu. And I think if we borrow from professional wrestling with the spectacle, even in the history of MMA, like in Japan, they used to have an event called Pride. Pride ultimately got shut down because of Yakuza connections, but they used to put on an incredible spectacle of an event. They used to put a lot of effort into the production, into creative ideas to hype an event. So me being the promoter of this event, I'm trying to push the envelope in creating excitement in the event. And I'm worried that if any one of these organizations were to get a monopoly, well, then there's really there's no reason for them to push the envelope on the events, athlete pay, because they've already controlled the market.
What else can be done to make grappling more exciting?
I mean, here's the thing. Anything's exciting if there's a storyline, you know? Like, so the more we invest in the story, that whether it's fake or real, the more we get people invested in each of the individual athletes or the teams or whatever, the more excited you are going to be to watch it take place. Like, there's been some boring MMA fights and boxing fights out there, but the hype has been so good that even when you're watching the live event, you're sort of on the edge of your seat. So as long as we invest in the storyline and build up the event, CJI 1 had a huge benefit because the story was basically CJI versus ADCC. So we create this division and people were invested in picking a side. So we need to leverage storylines like that to invest people's time and energy into actually watching the event, whether the match is exciting or not.
If you've been feeling a bit sluggish, your testosterone levels might be the problem. They play a huge role in your energy, your focus, and your performance, but most people have no idea what theirs are or what to do if something's off, which is why I partnered with Function, because I wanted a smarter and more comprehensive way to understand what's happening inside of my body. Twice a year, they run lab tests that monitor over 100 biomarkers, and their team of expert physicians will analyze the data and give you actionable advice to improve your health and lifespan. Seeing your testosterone levels and dozens of other biomarkers charted over the course of a year with actionable insights to actually improve them gives you a clear path to making your life better. And right now, you can get the exact same blood panels that I get by going to the link in the description below or heading to functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. That's functionhealth.com/modernwisdom. Thank you very much for tuning in. Enjoyed that clip? The full episode is available right here. Come on. Press it.